Hey everyone, it's Desiree, and I am here with another episode, let's call it that, for our junk journals and how we can build them. So pretty much now, in the beginning of the series, I showed, how to choose your papers, what papers you can use, where you can get them. I showed you how to sew a signature where all the pages are put together and you have your sewn line along the outside like this. Now I do a 7-point, depending upon the size. You can do a 3, you can do a 5, whatever you want. I just like this one because I'm sure to get any of the pieces, if they're smaller or whatever, adhered into this. Showed you how to do the center pocket, or how you can hide your ties that are in the center, or you can have them dangling and have charms put on them as well. So that's all the basics. So now, as we continue in these videos, I'm just going to show you different ways to make ephemera, pockets, tucks, charms, different ways that, if you don't want to go buy lace, how you can get that effect. Materials that you can use other than if you don't have the availability to sari silk or anything like that. We hear these common terms as we go, but there are alternatives out there. So what I'm going to show you today, enough of the gabbing, and we should always just know that these videos 9 out of 10 will be long. I do get gabby. Well, I am gabby. Let's not say I do get, I am. Because I just want to make sure that you see the whole process. So just know these videos are going to average 30, 35 minutes, probably longer. Just a heads up, it's going to be long. So for today's video, what we're going to make is a pocket. Now, I do like to make my pockets and tucks outside of my book. And then if I'm going to do any sewing embellishments, that can be done all off, outside of the book. I can embellish this before I glue it into my book. I do like to glue my pockets and tucks inside, because then I've got a choice of where placement. I mean, not that you don't before you sew it, but to do all of that, I wouldn't be able to sew my signature. And I actually have multiple signatures set up, and then I just decorate them as I go for my normal ones. So I always have bases put together, and then the themes are just different throughout. So when it comes to this is almost like a library card pocket. Some people refer to this as, I just refer to it as a pocket. You can find many of these templates online. The way, after looking at the templates, I came up with a way just to say, okay, if we just cut our cardstock like this and then do this, we can get this shape. And I'm sure others have done that as well. I'm sure I am so not the first person that has come up with this. So as always, I do have a template though, because it reminds me, and basically what this template's going to remind me is how wide and how long to cut my cardstock, or whatever material I'm using. So that's the main reason for this template. I could trace around this and then just cut it, and then I would be fine. I have this little tiny bin here with all of my general templates, whether it's my Rolodex, tags, cards, just to give me an idea, hey, I know this size works for my journals. And then again, this is just chipboard that I have. It's the same weight as cereal boxes. So when it comes to this piece, what you want to do is you want to grab a piece of cardstock or pattern paper, whatever it is you're using. I am in the world of craft. That's usually my base, either craft or ivory cardstock are my bases. And then I embellish off of that. And of course, by the time I'm done, it's covered in vintage photo or potting soil by the time we're done. So, yeah. Okay. So 4.5 by 7.5. That is what this takes. So I do use my scoreboard if you don't have a scoreboard, that's not a problem. You can just get a ruler, you know, any ruler would do, and then you could use a butter knife or anything like that, and you want to measure half an inch from each edge. So here is my half inch. I'm going to use the other side of my scissors, and I'm just going to score down that. And I've got a score line there. Okay, so you don't need a scoreboard. I just find scoreboards are easier. So I'm going to put this piece in along the short side, and I'm going to come in a half an inch from each side. So what I do is, this is at 4.5, so at 4, I'm going to score down. I'm going to flip it over, because trying to get my hand over here is difficult, because I got chubby fingers. And then I'm going to score down. Then, so now I've got a half inch score on each side. Then I'm going to take this, and we want to put this back on our scoreboard along the long edge, and we want to score at 3 3/8. Now you can score wherever you want. I just like this look with the little bit of this flap. If you don't want to remember 3 3/8, you can make it 3 1/4. So let's make it 3 1/4. And I'm going to score right across that. So now you see we've got these score lines. Starting down at the short side, we want to cut off an angle here. We want to cut off an angle here. We want to turn it. We want to cut in an angle here. And we want to cut that angle off there. Obviously, I have glue on my scissors. Oh my. Imagine that, right? Okay. So I always use the small scissors for that. Now, this whole area here, you want to cut out. So grab those long shears that we have, and you're going to cut right down the score line until you get to where you angled in. Same thing over here. We're going to cut right down that score line. And that's your template. Now, what you can do, I know basically this is going to fold up like this. These are going to fold in, and I know this is going to be my top. So here's the point where I'm going to come in with a notch maker. I'm going to make sure I eyeball this. I don't go crazy. I try to get it center. And it flies out beautifully. So I've cut out that. I can take my corner rounder and I can do these tops here. I don't worry about these down here because, again, that's being folded up. All right, so you really don't want to round those corners. So I'm going to bend in these flaps. I am going to pull in the vintage photo and go along that top there, because then I'll be able to go around the outside. And that's pretty much the template. You know, again, you can make these any size that you're looking for. They don't have to be this size. You can make them however big or small that you would want. You just want to make sure that you have tabs on the side. You just want to make sure so that you can glue these just like this. You want to make sure, I mean, you don't even have to have this piece up here. I mean, again, the ways to create this are endless on how you want them to be designed and how you want them to look. You could have this even and then just have this sitting there. Totally your choice. At this point, I always make sure I ink around my edges. And I don't worry about the back unless it's just going to be paper clipped in. I mean, you could have these where you just have a paper clip holding these, but this is something that I usually glue to the front or the back cover pages so that we can have pockets. And again, you can even make them a little bit wider. I just find this width works the best for the size journals that I normally make. So let's start decorating now. Let's add some bits and some fun things and some colors, and let's just have fun here. Okay, so let me dig in. I know I'm looking for a piece of something. Yeah. Do you like that? Okay. So, let's see here. Here we go. I'm going to snip this because you know I'm going to rip it. I do like the frayed edge. Now, again, you don't have to do all of this tearing. Again, it's whatever you want. I guess, you know, that's what I want to stress. It's however you want this to look. If you want frayed edges, make frayed edges. If you want straight edges, don't fray the edges. You know, just cut, you know, your pieces of material, and that's fine. We've got a lot of options, and you have a lot of availabilities that you can do. That's probably a little too big. All right, so I'm going to place that there. And then I think this one's going to go here. Just like that. I'm actually going to make two. So I grabbed some of my digital pieces that I've printed down from many people that are out there. Artie Mays, Tracy Fox Loves Junk Journals, Nick the Booksmith. There's just so many, and I love them all. Okay, so this, I like this. So I always just print them down on copy paper. I don't print them down on cardstock. I think copy paper allows me to do many things with it. One of the things that copy paper will allow me to do is to grab this and tear it. And then I can do the same thing on this. Grab it and tear it. You can do that with cardstock, but sometimes it's a little tougher to get that edge. I'm okay with those being even. Again, it's just that different look that comes in. Now, as always, I always have pieces that are pre-stamped and pre-cut and all of that fun stuff. Because, you know, I do have, you know, I have those stamps, so why not use them? You know, they're just not made for cards, you know. So I tend to just stamp some images away and then just keep them all in the in my files here, and then I pull them out, you know, as I need them, which I think is cool. Sitting here, let's see. I like that one because it says Philadelphia, but I don't think. Oh, yes, it is. Probably should have gone a little bit bigger, but that's okay. Almost threw that in my coffee. Oh my goodness. Sorry for the slurp. So we have that. I am a fan of the stamps. I think they add just something a little bit to it. And I love using my mini pinking shears. I just like the look. Now, by all means, you can get, you know, real stamps and put them in. You know, that's certainly something else that you can do. But again, you can use any ephemera. You know, I was watching somebody on YouTube, and they actually use their mail, you know, the mail postage that comes across. You know, the runs, you know, you get those circles and all of that. And they take those and they use a circle punch to punch them out. And that's what they can use. Why not? That's a great idea. It's the same thing. You know, this way, you're constantly getting them if you get your mail. Some people choose to get everything paperless. But if you know, choose to get that mail, you're automatically getting those. You know, you wouldn't have to buy the ink and the stamps and all of that. So I like this, but I actually like this side. And it doesn't matter, you know, how many layers you want to go with. I mean, you can say when or, whoa, it's a lot going on there. Don't need that much. But I do like to add the elements of stamping and digital. And again, probably because, you know, as card makers, we collect so much, and we just keep collecting sometimes, or we have so much pattern paper. We always have so much of something that we can, you know, embellish it and push it into other crafts that we do. Mine happens to be junk journaling, but I can throw that in here and use those stamps that I have. And that's the, you know, the beauty of a craft, that we can just continue to use this and use everything that we have. Okay, that one I think I like that. Don't want to go too much, but at least have something there. And this, I'm just missing one thing here. I just need one more thing. I don't know what that would be. Let's see. I think I want something pinky. Oh, and here it is. I finally got a hold of and these were tough. These were tough to get a hold of. The Tim Holtz Botanical pieces, the die cut pieces. Impossible, but finally got it, which made me very happy. Okay, so I think this, actually gonna have that come up off of that. Okay, so let's start gluing our pieces, but first inking. Now with this, you can also ink this as well. I mean, you're not going to get a full coverage, but sometimes what I'll do is I'll just go along the edges and just rub across it, which will add some colors to it. I don't stain this. I don't coffee dye it or anything else like that. So I'm just going to add my glue. I know I can't find my Fabri-Tac. I know I have it. It's somewhere. But this stuff works just as well. Oh, what's her name? I know her channel's I'm a Cool Mom. She just loves this stuff, and she actually got me hooked on it too. So that will dry clear. You can see that. You can see those spots, but it does dry clear. I think, though, I do want to add just a little bit of color to that. So I'm going to pull in my tumbled glass. Where is... I have all of these sponges here. Just a hint of color going across the front. And then going across here. So you can see, it's just a hint of color. You can barely see that, but it does add just a little bit instead of all of the brown. So when I'm gluing on these pieces too, I mean, you can cover up, you know, go up to the edge if you want. I do like to leave that edge. Again, it's just a personal preference. And I do not worry about 90-degree angles. On some things I do, like if I'm putting in a pocket, and yes, in every one of my journals, I do have the Philadelphia one, because I'm near there. Yes. On some things, you know, if I'm putting in a pocket, I try to make sure that, yes, it's got, you know, it's in there straight. But otherwise, I just like the uniqueness of, you know, having those different angles and the way things look. And so forth. I think it adds to it. Yeah, you pick up the little fuzzies when you do that too. So, how is, other than all of this, how is everybody doing? Let me know. Let me know if there's something that you saw or something that you would like to see in this series. I mean, I'm just coming up with all the different things that I've done in my journals in the past. Many items have been learned by watching so many wonderful artists out there in the junk journal world. But, you know, let me know if there's something that you're curious about. I mean, I've got things, you know, kind of already in the queue, but we can certainly get those added into the list so that we can have those coming in as well. Got that, and then we're just going to add this right down here, I think. So this is two ways, just two ways that you can do, you know, pockets. You know, if you have library cards that you have found somewhere or purchased or got them from a library that may be closed down, here you go, here's your pocket. That's what these are mimicking against. But the other thing that I want to show is you don't really have to layer these up either. I do like to add layers to a lot of the areas in my journals. I just like the look, and plus it lets me use up things. Yeah, I gotta make room for more. So let me show you the other thing. If you have stamps and, you know, maybe that's all that you do have, you know, you want to get into this, but you don't want to, you know, again, it seems like a lot of crafts that we do get into, I'm just going to clean up here a little bit, a lot of crafts that we do get involved in, you know, they break the bank. They just have that ability to definitely break the bank. But, I mean, we don't have to. So this, of course, would just need cardstock, or again, pattern paper solves the problem. And I'll actually show that to you as well. So if we just take pattern paper, and yes, I'm walking away there. So maybe your junk journal's got a very bright theme to it, which again is completely fine. You know, here's a beautiful piece of, you know, pattern paper. You can use this, you know, you can use this. Be careful using this, only because when you flip this up, that's going to be upside down. So know that if you're using pattern paper, how it's going to look when you flip that up. Here's a perfect piece. It's got all types of stamps. So let's use this one. So again, we can cut it the same size. We're going to cut it 4.5 by 7.5. You can tell that's just ingrained into my brain. Now this piece actually measures right now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 8.5. So I know I need to take off 1 inch. So I'm going to take that inch off. Yes, I do say that. I know, I'm silly. I'm going to grab my scoreboard. And again, on each of the corners, just looking for my pen folder, 1/2 inch in. So I'm going to go 4 on each side on the short side. So this is the short side, and each side I'm scoring at 4 because it's 4.5. I'm then going to turn this onto the long side, and I'm going to come in 3 1/4 or 3 1/8, wherever you want to do that. And that's all the scoring that we need to do. I'm going to come in with my scissors, and I'm going to cut off the bottom corners, making sure that my line is towards the bottom. If you cut these, then you're not going to have the huge backing here. And then I'm going to come in, and then I got to find my score line. Okay, so I'm going to cut it on this side because I can see it. And I'm going to come down. I love my big shears. Long shears, one cut, straight down. May have to move it again. And there we go. I'm going to fold this side in. And I'm going to fold this side in. Now, the beauty of this is, because it's pattern paper, you really don't have to do too much to it. You know? We've got that coming down. I'm still going to put my notch in. I'm going to make sure I'm on the shorter side when I'm putting my notch in. I'm going to try to make it as centered as possible. Let that fly out. Going to ink the edge. Even though it's pattern paper, I will still ink. Again, maybe you're making one that's bright. and cheery, rainbow-ish, then you wouldn't need to add any vintage photo. You may ask, would I? Yes, I would. I think you all know that answer. Adding the glue, I'm going to take this, push that down. Make sure that's in place. And what's nice, you get a nice white back there. I'm going to take my corner punch, round those out, and then I'm going to come in with my Distress ink. The only thing I will say with this glue, I like it. It does take longer to dry. You do have more of a wiggle room with this glue, but once it dries, it dries. I miss my Fabri-Tac though. It's immediate. So there you go. Don't have to do any embellishing. Don't have to do anything like that. You already have a pocket that's ready to go. Again, just using pattern paper. And it could be a piece of scrap. It could be half of a sheet that you used on another project. So pattern papers work just as well. If you don't like this white, you know, again, that's not a problem either. You can always take something and put that in there to cover it up if you wanted to. All right, so again, you're really not going to see that. Or you can come in with more of the Distress inks to make that darker. And again, just get the little tiny tool down in there. And again, no one's going to know. So say you can actually make these things, you know, change and morph and do whatever they want. Maybe you don't have pattern paper and you don't want to get into, you know, all of that, you know, to have all of that type of stuff. That's okay. Maybe you just have your cardstock. Take your cardstock, and maybe you just have stamps as well. Again, 1/2 inch from each side on the short side. Take it up along the long side, 3 1/4. And now we're going to cut on the shorter panel. I'm just going to cut these sections out. Now, before I do, okay, I'll do my notch out here. Let's see if I can get this in the center. I haven't yet. There we go. So what you can do now is if you have stamps, if you have that collection, and again, it can be any stamps. Maybe they're background stamps, you know, whatever it is you may have, you can use those as well. So here I just have a script background stamp. So what I could do is I can take my ink, and again, know which way you're going to flip it. So here, I'm going to take this, again, not in for perfection, stamp down, pull up. So now I've got that stamped there. And then this here, I know this is coming up as well. So I'm going to do the same thing. Never looking for anything that's perfect. This one I can just put straight down as well. Push. Again, I'm okay with those spots. I'm going to bring this down again so I can get more going on down there. And now I can put my piece together. So I'm going to fold these in. I'm going to make sure I ink along this top. And again, it can be images, you know, whatever it is you're looking to use, you can use that. I'm going to come in with my glue. You could heat emboss on these. I mean, these would be really sharp. You know, if you did, you know, some heat embossing, even dry embossing. You know, if you've got embossing folders, think about this area, you know, having like a script going across it, or postage stamp if you've got one with postage stamps, or whatever it is you're looking for. You know, that would be really unique, very different. So don't have to, you use what you have is what I'm trying to say. Definitely use what you have if you want to make a junk journal. So just by using that stamp, it added some texture to this image. Now, that doesn't mean you still can't add, you know, I could add one little tiny thing here. Don't have to go through with all the layers, but I could just add something very tiny to this. Just to, you know, however you would want it, or if it's fitting a theme. So I hope this gave you some ideas on how you can make your own pockets. Again, these can be made different sizes. I've just got in my brain the 4.5 by 7.5, and how I score and cut and everything else. But again, whatever you have in your stash, you can make these and make them whatever you want. So I hope you enjoyed this. Again, same products that I do have, but everything will be listed down below. If you have any questions or comments, please make sure you leave those. I love answering those comments and any questions that you have. And again, I know I'm running a little behind. I'm trying to get caught up. That's a good thing that I'm running a little bit behind. But just know I will get to your question and give you an answer or a thought process that I may have. I do thank you so much if you have already subscribed to my channel. I very much appreciate everyone that does watch my videos, that appreciates the videos, that will even ask some questions. But if you're not a subscriber, please join us. I'd love to have you here as part of my group. Make sure you ring the bell because you need to know what video is going to be coming up next. We're kind of moving a little bit quicker than normal. But I do hope you enjoy all of them. I hope you're having a great day, but always remember what's most important. Always, guys, be creative.